It's time to finish what I started in the Fallout New Vegas marathon. It's time to return for the DLC. But there are going to be a few changes from my original playthrough. First of all, the running is kinda been there, done that, and I need to innovate. Besides, the courier isn't running the whole time anyway, they're walking, with many dozens of pounds of gear on their back. So, let me do the same. You want to see what 60 pounds looks like? That. You want to see what it feels like? That. So from now on, for every half an hour that passes in-game, I'm going to be strapping on this juggernaut armor and walking the mile. Second change. I've been playing with Long Tall Sally. Nope, that sounded so fucking wrong. I've been playing as Long Tall Sally. Nope, that sounds even worse. I've been playing the video game Fallout New Vegas, released in 2010, with my character Long Tall Sally, who will not be present in this campaign. The shotgun build just wasn't doing it for me anymore, so say hello to Joanna B. Good, Grunt, Sniper, Commando, and she's going to the Sierra Madre. If I'm gonna do the DLCs, I'm gonna do them in order, and I've gotta get the worst one out of the way first. Just as soon as I complete the buy-in. And I'm already off to a great start as the last of the May rain started coming down on my head. After being drugged, robbed, kidnapped, and worst of all subjected to a slideshow, Father Elijah here let me know the deal. He wants to rob the big casino from before the bombs dropped, and he's recruited 4 high-achieving individuals, including myself, to help him break inside. That's the polite term for it. The impolite term is that he's fitted each of us with a goddamn bomb collar, and if one of us dies, then all of us die. So it's up to me to play the witless wrangler as I gather up my brain trust. And my only equipment is a decaying energy rifle and fucking coveralls. I ditched the high-tech shotgun at the earliest opportunity in favor of a stick with knives taped to the end. It's much more effective against these weirdos known as the ghost people, who don't die unless I cripple or dismember them. In which case a knife would do much better than the rock candy the hollow rifle was firing. Inside the villa's police station, I found better gear and my first partner in crime, Dog/God, the super mutant with a split personality. He's okay. He's no Therese and Jeanette Vorman. Oh, I'm sorry. Spoilers for a 19-year-old game. Once I had God situated at our base camp around the central fountain, I started searching for team member number 2. The first area was an introduction to the ghost people, and the second area will be an intro to the many traps of the Sierra Madre. Bear traps, landmines, tripwires, all things that would be a problem if I didn't have the light step perk. But now? Oh no, your stupid traps won't trigger when I step on them. Get fucked, nerds. The second member of our heist crew is Dean Domino, the performer who's been ghoulified and stayed around the casino villa area for over 200 years. He's a pretty cool guy, nice and evil, but he's also British, which I can't abide. Well, I have to abide by that because otherwise I'd be dead, but on an average day I wouldn't abide by that. 2 down, 1 to go. First area was the ghost people, second area was the traps, last area is the speakers, which set off my bomb collar. I'll tell you folks at home, if there's one thing I thought New Vegas was missing, it was an instant kill. Oh, not only an instant kill, but an instant kill that doesn't even need to be in the same room. If my sarcasm isn't coming through, I hope my annoyance is. Instant kills are an awful mechanic in any game, and I will die on this hill. But reining in my salt for a moment, at least I could listen to the sound and triangulate the speaker that way. So, there is a way around it. Still hate it. Still hope there won't be something similar to this in another later DLC. In the Villa Clinic, I met the holograms, who are a little bit of a problem, and I hit the hour mark for my second hike. It's okay, the third member of our heist crew can wait. It's not like she's trapped in some kind of horrific medical experiment. The last member of our crew is Christine, who I released from her autodock and immediately attacked me with dozens of lines of dull character actions. But I protected myself, first by being dyslexic, and second by not giving a shit. Christine is a mute who can only communicate through hand gestures which the game can't animate. So talking to her is like going to an aquarium. I realize the thing looking at me is alive and probably has feelings, but ultimately it's just staring at me like it's still recovering from 2 gunshot wounds to the head. So with everyone collected, I could start putting them in their places. And here's where I get into my real gripe with dead money. The ghost people aren't that bad. The holograms are a minor annoyance, but I can deal. The speakers made me want to commit genocide against the various inventors of the radio, but I'm learning to get around it. My real problem is how fucking samey these areas are. Where am I now? Am I in the Spanish villa in perpetual night with a permanent red filter? Or the completely fucking identical Spanish villa with the harsh red tint under eternal night? This is the only time in New Vegas I've ever had to use the Pip-Boy map for navigation. To quote the great Sergeant Lincoln Osiris, "God damn it, we lost! We fucking super lost, man!" And of course, I was lost for so long that another half an hour had passed and it was time for mile 3. But I got everyone into their 3 separate spots. Plug in God by the switching station, trust Dean's British brain to be smart enough to touch 2 wires together without electrocuting himself, resist the urge to stuff Christine in the elevator against her will because I'm nice to my fish friend, hit mile 4 along the way, which might seem quick, but remember, Manuel is cutting out a lot of empty time here. And the last person to get in position was myself, up at the clock tower. It was at this point I moved on from the knife spear to the bear trap fist. Without any good rifles befitting my build, this became a very good alternative. I mean, I had the Browning automatic by this point, but I said good rifles. With endurance as my highest stat and a decent unarmed skill, this was far better. At the clock tower, we struck up the gala event with fireworks and music which drew ghost people like flies. They came pouring into the streets, but they were no match for my cunning strategy. Just walk right past them because they're mostly melee and move in slow, shambling steps. Now I was inside the Sierra Madre Casino, getting gas for the second time in the same adventure. Between this and the poison cloud, my lungs are going to look like a topographical map of the moon by the time this is over. After I'd regained consciousness, Father Elijah came back to inform me that teamwork makes the dream work, but now that we've accomplished the dream, we don't need the team. So once I had restored power, I needed to deal with the 3 members of my heist crew, all in separate areas, again. Hey, besides the themes, why do we like this DLC again? So I helped God become Dog, absolved Dean of his crime of blackmail and his greater crime of being born on an island. He returned my goodwill by locking me into a conversation which lasted until another 30-minute mark. And Christine had evolved to walk on dry land and speak like a person, and I still don't care. But I let her live anyway. With everyone settled, the Sierra Madre Vault was all that was left, and that was when Father Elijah unleashed his most devastating weapon yet. Feedback interference.
Entirely what I need from them. Once you have them, thread the archives together at the main floor terminal.
If you're wearing headphones as I was, you have my sympathy. Hopefully Manuel will turn that way down in post. Now it was time for me to head down to the Sierra Madre Vault proper, and for a potentially related reason, tear my goddamn hair out. Speakers everywhere and not a single one playing Tenacious D. Nope, all of them are just blaring white noise that makes my head pop off. Even knowing where all of them were, I still died twice. Once when I made it to the terminal to shut down the speakers, but the speakers didn't shut down and I died. Twice when I jumped into the infinite pit of death. But to hell with the speakers, to hell with the holograms, to hell with the cloud, I made it into the proper Sierra Madre Vault where all the precious gold bars were stored. Why gold bars have high value in a post-apocalypse? Who's to say? The point is that I took none of the gold. I had been jerked around by this DLC and now it was trying to pay me off to have a good time. But not me, sweetie. The only currencies I accept are praise, women, and Warhammer miniatures. So Father Elijah called me over Zoom to let me know that he's gonna abandon me down in the vault and it's basically my own fault for being down here. I don't think so, Chief. I followed the message, but you still used that message as bait, gassed me, and set the bomb collars. I'm pretty sure even I, the man who did 3 mock trials in high school and lost all of them, could make a decent case for entrapment. But I was able to turn the tables on him by threatening to break everything in the vault, and then he got his butt down there right quick. I did make an attempt to do the secret ending where Elijah gets trapped in the vault, but ultimately the plan was foiled when I remembered that I hadn't invested any points into sneak. So instead I mulched up Elijah's face with a pair of articulating metal jaws. It was therapeutic. At last I was free of the Sierra Madre, and as soon as I got back to the bunker where this all began, my first order of business was to drop all the gear I'd collected, even the stim packs, right on the floor. I don't need it. I don't want it. The Sierra Madre wanted me to let go, but I've already learned. It's them that need to let go. Let go of this dick, 'cause I'm out of here. I'm going to Utah, motherfucker! Just after hiking the last mile for dead money. Hey, it's thematic. I'm hiking in-game, and I'm hiking in real life. Though I didn't have the pleasant tones of Dave Fennoy in my travels. The best I could do to parallel was the autobiography of Sidney Poitier. As soon as we made it to Zion Canyon, everyone's first order of business was to die. And I didn't even wait for most of them to hit the ground before I started looting. I was too cool to die. For one, I had most of my gear back, and let's pause a second here to take a quick vote. What happens when an M1 Garand goes up against a man with no shirt? All guesses in? Let's see the results. Across the bridge and nearly kill the first friendly NPC who steps directly into my line of fire. This is Follows Chalk, and I'm gonna take that hat one day. Further up the trail there was a mutated bear which scared old Chalk but didn't scare me because again, M1 Garand, fuck you and everyone you ever met. Down the road and through the river, which is admittedly beautiful, especially with how janky this game's engine can be, and into the cave where I could meet Herschel Biggs from LA Noire. Biggs wanted me to find gear and kill nerds. I mean, there's more to it than that, but not really. Gear was found, nerds were killed, I fell off a cliff and nearly died, and geckos, no matter how large, cannot stand up to the uninterrupted machine gun fire of a Colt M4. I went to drop off the quest but was interrupted by time for hiking. Then I delivered the supplies to this guy Daniel who sent me out to kill animals and collect gear. Yeah, we don't need to go through all this again. The most interesting thing to happen was when I went off quest to grab some badass armor and later found the man the armor belonged to along with his rifle. This is Randall Clark, a man who lived through the nuclear apocalypse and survived for many years in Zion National Park. I won't say anything else because his story is actually really cool and really sad. Anyway, I returned to Daniel, but the man was engaged in the most intense game of hide and seek ever to be played. And I did find him, just not before I had to go for yet another hike. Then I talked to him about a secondary quest, turned it in, turned around, and he disappeared again! This is the most wily Mormon in the history of the universe. Once I had tracked down old Danny boy, it was time for the end. Yeah, already, and I have two options to resolve. I could go in guns ablaze and finish off the tribals who've been trying to kill me, or I could be the single sole person in the history of honest hearts to side with Daniel. Sorry, big man Dan, peace is cool, but peace is for nerds. I've been on this earth for a little over 2 decades, and so far no one's wanted to make love with me, so I guess I'm gonna make war instead. With Joshua Biggs Graham backing me up, we carved a path through the canyon with steel and fire. Let no one stand in our way. Kill them all and let God sort them out. And I'm making this all sound very dramatic because in reality it was anything but. Mostly a lot of walking broken up by hosing down the occasional enemy with bullets. To that point, oh my god, we're already at the final confrontation? That's crazy, that's nuts. I convinced old Josh to show mercy because it gives him a happier ending, and I want him to be happy. Then it's time for the slideshow, and I was outski. Though my friends were nice enough to leave me a little gift containing a unique pistol, and I told you I'd be getting that hat. But that was Honest Hearts wrapped up, 2 down, 2 to go, and so far the spread is 5 miles for dead money and a charitable 3 rounds for Honest Hearts. And now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. The bowl, the brains, the bastards. That's right, it's time for Elderly Planet Greens. There's nothing I love more than a bit of unnecessary invasive surgery in the morning. Actually I do, because the cybernetic parts it gives me are badass. But before I can put them to use, I have to talk to the nerds. I mean, I know I call a lot of people nerds, but these are the apex of nerd evolution. The sort of guys that make the Big Bang Theory look like an even worse sitcom than it already is. And they do not shut the fuck up. Even skipping through their dialogue, this conversation took forever. And I mean forever. They have a cool nemesis named Dr. Mobius, and in order to get an audience with the Big Mob, I have to get an antenna, a stealth suit, and a sonic blaster. There, that's a 30-minute conversation summed up in one sentence. You're welcome. Now, the map of Big Mountain is built like a dwarf. It's not very large, but it is very dense. I walk out the front door and immediately have to commit murder. First guy hits the ground and there's already a second one coming to kick my ass. Further up the road, there's a whole pack of these guys, and then skeleton robots after that. Realistically, I'm only walking about a quarter mile, and I've already had to commit genocide. I fucking love this place. With Big Mountain being a pre-war military think tank, I'm gonna be having to say domo arigato to a lot of robotos. In preparation for these meetings, I brought a zap glove to help me save ammo. It was quite effective. With the antenna collected, Robo-Scorpions descended on the radio tower. They fell and exploded under a steady supply of right jabs, which was startlingly more effective than my Garand. But the M4 with armor-piercing rounds was even more effective than that. Where's your Omnissiah now that I have Steel Cord 556, bitch? The next item on the list was the sonic emitter, where I needed to enter the high school simulation and pretend to be cyborg Michael Vick. And the Garand did make a brief but effective return by enlisting the lobotomites to join the new pop band Men Without Heads. Pause for a hike, turn to rekill a lobotomite, and continue on through the testing site. While I was there, I stopped into doing the additional quests. I didn't need to, but I did. What I actually needed to do was stop in to deal with the dog of one of the main researchers. He's big, and he's dead. It was at this point I started giving the survivalist rifle some more attention, and oh my holy god. I mean, I knew this thing was good, but fragile hollow point rounds against tough armored enemies, and they're still dying almost instantly. I don't suppose I should be surprised. It's 50 Beowulf, the ammo that will kill everything that moves and kill everything that doesn't move. With 2 objectives down and 1 to go, it was time to make like Zhuang Zhang and journey to the west. Though I don't think that old Buddhist ever had to deal with the nightmarish crossbreeds of a Doberman Pinscher and a rattlesnake. Once I made it to the stealth facility and got in the stealth suit, I could begin the stealth test. But I can't complete this. My character fucked up earlier in this very video trying to sneak around Elijah. Thankfully, I had a plan. With the plan in full effect, I could complete the test without incident. Even when the Robo-Scorpions invaded, even when the time hit and I had to follow the unique rule of this challenge, nothing could stand in my way as I went through the additional tests because they are an absolute experience goldmine. Second time through, disable the laser tripwires for massive prizes, woo! Third time through, motion sensors that are completely nullified by light step, woo! Fourth time through, touch the robots from behind and they die for a second time, woo! If you don't do this to level up at least once, you're playing New Vegas the wrong way. On the way out, there was a nice little moment when some snake dogs helped me take out a scorpion, then had to pay the ultimate price for betraying our brief alliance. Now I had everything I needed and headed back to the think tank to give them some therapy by passing a load of speech checks. It was time for the final quest. I was ready to complete the DLC, but I wasn't ready to complete the DLC. Because we don't leave any man behind, and right now there's a boy out there that needs my help. Through the horrors of science, I found his brain in the back of a pickup truck and his body upgrade inside this rolling tank. And with both of those parts, I could revive Muggy!
You! Hey you! Yeah, you! Got any mugs? What do you want mugs, huh? You some kind of sick mug hoarder? Oh god, give me the coffee cup, please! It's sitting there in your pack taunting me! Sorry. Sorry. I got carried away. It's just all those goddamn dirty dishes out there with no one to clean them. It breaks my heart!
His life is eternal suffering. I love Muggy. Over the minefield and through the camp to a goddamn army of Robo-Scorpions. At last, these little yellow bastards had found a way to pose a threat to me. Not a threat to my body, but a threat to my supplies. I was running out of ammo, stims, and patience. So when I made it in to face Dr. Mobius's giant robo-scorpion, I had nada, nothing, zero, zilch. Whatever you think I have, I didn't have it. So there was only one way this could end. In glorious hand-to-hand combat. It's just unfortunate that end happened to be mine. So I tried again with better results, but more suffering. I activated drones to distract the monster, spent way too long and ultimately failing to hack a terminal, and paid the price for that. Finally, I embraced the idea that tactics are for dweebs who put their brains in floating robots and just resorted to shooting the giant robot in the ass. Hey, say what you will, it worked. Now I could finally speak to the man himself, Dr. Mobius. Unironically, my favorite character in the Fallout franchise. Because he's nice, he's smart, he's insane, and he shares the good stuff. No, the real antagonist of this DLC has been me, my brain. I should have known. This little bastard has had it in for me ever since we first met. Always with his ideas like, go write a book, start exercising, start a YouTube channel. Never takes a day off, no matter how many times I threaten to kill him. I should have just left without him, but without him I'm no more than a flesh automaton animated by Tesla coils. So it took a bit of coercion, but he finally agreed to move back into the calcium condo between my ears. The think tank were the only ones who could perform the surgery and let me out of this place, and initially they were hesitant. But I reminded them of the good times, of all the things I'd done to help them. I don't know why I did that. It would have been quicker and easier to just kill them or threaten them, but the ends justify the means. And that is it for Aged Country Earth. The scores so far are 5 miles for Dead Money, 3 miles for Honest Hearts, and I escaped Old World Blues in 4. That just leaves Lonesome Road, and I think it's time to shake things up a little. So I put the Garand and the M4 into storage. Not the Survivalist rifle. I said I wanted to change things up, not add a challenge run to my challenge run. In their place, I took out an M249 I'd had in storage for a while, but now, as a cyborg, I have the strength to wield the damn thing. I want to see how the Divide handles 850 rounds per minute. Before I could get my answer, I was forced to recruit the companion robot Eddie. His main and only traits are floating, beeping, and unlocking terminals for me. Oh my goodness, it's a nuclear warhead, and we're going to be seeing a lot of those. Oh, but Ed does have one more trait, forcing his backstory on me. If I wanted to know, I'd ask, but right now I have other hostile robots blocking my way forward. I dealt with one through a computer, I dealt with another through bullets, and I dealt with a whole crowd of the beasts by letting the turrets handle them. I was nearly out of the bunker when I was struck with another time cap, so I had to take to the road before I could be blessed with a chance to meet Ulysses. I can sum up Ulysses in 7 words. Shut up, you Eddie Grant looking motherfucker. I'm giving the characters in this DLC a lot of crap because they deserve it, but it's not all bad. Look at this landscape. It's beautiful. And even the people are a nightmare of destruction. These marked men who have had their skin privileges revoked by a sandstorm. They are very well equipped and well armored. Relatively speaking. But I can take their gear and sell it at these commissary terminals to make boatloads of cash. This is the reason I didn't need the gold in the Sierra Madre. Selling guns is a way bigger profit margin. At this point, every one of these skinless SOBs is just another tick in my bank account. Even the ones I didn't take have great gear. Like this guy with Red Glare, the rocket launcher machine gun. I could have taken that too, but I already had 2 super weapons, a third would have rarely had time to shine. Especially when I discovered this laser detonator. What does it detonate? Don't worry about that. Manuel's going to be editing out a whole lot of exploring except for this little basement. No reason to come down here, but look at it. You got these skeletons hanging upside down. It's brutal. It's like the first season of Dexter down here. I love it. Oh, and there is a skill book down here. Tales of a Junktown jerky vendor. Probably the less said about that, the better. Detonate more nukes, hose down some marked men with an LMG, and detonate even more nukes to head underground. Now I could meet the tunnelers, who make no sense to me. Supposedly they were the people who lived in this area before the bombs drop and seek shelter underground where they've been evolving all this time. But it's only been 200 years, not 2,000. So how did they... You know what, I'm the only one that cares about this. Oh no, lizard people! Oh no, lizard people getting gunned down by the survivalist rifle! With a brief pause for more hiking. Ulysses is back, and shut up, you Bob Marley looking motherfucker. Shout out to my friend, the shoulder-mounted machine gun, who never gets any love, but I love it. Couldn't take it with me because it weighs a ton, but it deserves more attention. I continued up the highway, killing more marked men, and oh my god, it's a Deathclaw! It's so big and sharp! Everyone seen it now? Cool. But don't go in that trailer, Joanna, you'll be ambushed! Well, it wasn't very effective. Scarier than the Deathclaws was when Ed snuck up behind me to force more backstory down my throat. I don't care. I never cared. It's a Sputnik clone that hovers and beeps, and it's not even sentient. With the Deathclaws safely tucked away in hell, I could face my next challenge. Satchel charges. Landmines almost as bad as the Sierra Madre speakers because they detonate almost instantly and take you with them. But thank God for Light Step. Everyone talking about cultural appropriation, I'm over here appropriating high explosives. And even higher explosives. And this war crime is just the perfect time for Ed to give me more backstory. I don't need to hear about your problems, little guy. It's time to ride the elevator of doom. Traditionally, this section is a bit difficult as the tunnelers keep coming while I'm locked in an enclosed space. But you see, I have this gun. The gun fires bullets. The bullets kill the tunnelers, and I'm free to enjoy the excessive shaky cam. So I made it to the new bunker, I left the new bunker, climbed the stairs, and shut up, you woolly Madden looking motherfucker. The marked men were stepping up their game with more mines, which didn't help them, Gatling lasers, which didn't help them, and plasma casters, which really helped them. I'm lying, they died before they could even get a shot off. Into the cave of the Abaddon, wherein lurks the Tunneler Queen! She didn't fare any better than her kids, but upon killing her, the Tunnelers stepped up their game and started doing fucking cartwheels at me! Even looking at that in post got me to crack up a little bit. Fuck. Back outside, and for the first time, I'm happy to hear from Ulysses as he takes Ed off my hands. Good. You two can form an army of two and fight a war against silence. But with Ed gone, it was only now I hit another 30-minute mark, with the last one being all the way back in the underpass. That's the kind of pace I was keeping up because I was in the home stretch and I was cooking. Take, for example, this cave, wherein lies Rar, king of Deathclaws, and he's dead. I took his talon as a trophy. Another group further on were invisible, but not invincible. Went into an optional cave where I found a lot of 5.56 to keep the 249 fat and happy. And I found a workbench where I could convert Rar's talon into an unarmed weapon. I still had some points in unarmed from my time punching things in the Sierra Madre and Big Empty, so this'll be a fun novelty. Oh my god, Jesus and the Holy Ghost, this thing is effective. I was max level for the J Sawyer mod, but I didn't care. My build turned on a dime so I could keep using this thing. Because it was effective, and better still, it was fun. I got addicted to turbo again, but I didn't care. I was turning marked men into ground beef. Even the robots were getting turned into piles of wet circuits and quivering diodes. Not Eddie, though. I left him in the closet. It's fine. I've survived over 2 decades in the closet. It's cozy in here. And I get a great perk for leaving him behind. Now it was time to confront Ulysses, and I convinced him to stand down. Not sure why. I should have killed him. I wanted to kill him, but I didn't. Then the final battle could ensue. A final battle with so many bodies the game has to turn them into goo to keep from crashing. And then it crashes anyway. So do the battle again, but forget to start a new recording. Third time's the charm, and let's end this with a boom. The biggest boom. Ulysses was going to fire the many nukes of the Divide into the NCR, but I don't believe in half measures. Get fucked, nerds. But you know what? I've still got some time left over. Let's do the second battle of Hoover Dam one more time. Hey Lanius, you ever gotten a colonoscopy from a velociraptor? And when he was dead, General Oliver came to visit, with Yes Man back from the dead right behind him. I told the general the good news. Peace in our time, and General Oliver could finally live out his dream of bringing back the old American government. And what could be more American than to fly, like an eagle, to the sea? The Colorado River also works. I don't want to put down any of my past videos, though I am an artist, which means I hate everything I've made 3 seconds after I finished it. But that said, this was way more fun than the initial Fallout New Vegas marathon. Just way more chaotic and everything. Even Dead Money, which I still really don't care for, had its moments. But that's it for Fallout, for now. As much as I love this series, it's just got way too much capitalism in it. And, as we all know, there's only one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism.
Space!